now. Great honor. He's earned the reputation as perhaps the winningest and most combative criminal defense lawyer in the country. And he's defended some of the most high-profile clients in recent memory. O.J. Simpson, Mike Tyson, Bill Clinton, to name just a few. Joining me now on set, famed attorney Alan Dershowitz, who after 50 years is now in his final semester of teaching law at the Harvard Law School. He's written a new book, Taking the Stand, My Life in the Law. It's a great pleasure, Mr. Dershowitz. I appreciate it. Let me just pick up one sec. I don't want to go deep on this, but you heard the J.P. Morgan story. The government's taken $13 billion and God knows what. Would you defend J.P. Morgan?
Absolutely. The problem is you can't defend large corporations that have thousands and thousands of employees against an indictment. Once they've been indicted, they can be put out of business. So the presumption of innocence doesn't operate in these large cases. And the government basically dictates the terms of the settlement because you're terrified to litigate even cases you can win.
Right. That's just, right. That's the Arthur Anderson syndrome.
Right.
Puts your whole thing out of business. Okay.
Yeah, they won, and look what happened.
Yeah.
They were out of business.
All right, let's go to some interesting things. My thesis, having you as a guest on our show from time to time, which is a great pleasure always, my thesis is, Alan Dershowitz is not as liberal as people think he is. Now, I want to just begin with this. You're a great defender of the First Amendment, freedom of speech of all kinds, okay? So am I. I'm a Reagan conservative. I completely agree with you.
Well, I almost wrote a book called Why I Left the Left But Couldn't Join the Right. If I were living in England today, I could be a member of the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party in England opposes the death penalty, favors a woman's right to choose abortion, is in favor of gay rights. They just differ on foreign policy. They have a tougher foreign policy. They differ on economic issues. So I am a civil libertarian liberal, but I still call myself a liberal, and I'm proud of it.
All right, well, be proud of it. You had, in one of the things I read, for example, an issue, abortion, a very contentious issue. You said you felt it should have been in the legislative political arena.
Absolutely.
State by state, rather than the federal government. Heck, I'm pro-life, and I agree with you.
I can't find anything in the Constitution that says you prefer the life of the mother, or the convenience of the mother, if it's an abortion by choice, over the potential life of the fetus. Look, I think women, if they're required to not have abortions, could die and could. So I favor a woman's right to choose, but I can't find it in the Constitution. And everything I favor, I don't think is necessarily constitutionally based.
All right, let's go to another one. You've been at Harvard all these years. The issue of diversity and discrimination on campuses and so forth and so on. From what I gathered, you once said that you want diversity at Harvard, but you don't want it by race, and you were going to defend, or you wanted evangelical Christians to be on the faculty to give it true diversity?
Absolutely. I want more gun owners, more evangelical Christians, people from the right. Look, one of the best students ever in my class was Ted Cruz. He came to the class, put his right hand up, and never put it down the whole semester.
Fantastic.
And he added tremendous diversity to the class. I think diversity is a function of many things. Also race. Race matters. And I think the fact that we have had so many prominent African-American leaders come out of Harvard Law School is a testament to that, but it should be class-based. It should be based on how far you've come and the opportunities that you've taken advantage of.
All right. Just one brief jump into foreign policy. You are a strong backer of Israel.
But I am
That
also...
makes you a conservative, too.
Well, that's interesting.
Because I think the liberal left, if I may, the liberal left has drifted away from Israel and towards Palestine and just being soft on Israeli defense.
I agree with that, and in the last chapter of my book I talk about how for 7 decades of my life I've always been identified as a liberal. I haven't changed my views on any of these issues, but because I support Israel, though critically sometimes, I want to see it move more toward peace, a two-state solution, end of some of the civilian settlements. Because of that, I'm now called a neo-fascist, a zio-fascist, a right-winger. If you ask young people on college campuses, they think I'm a conservative because of my views on Israel. I support Israel from a liberal and civil liberties and human rights perspective, and I throw out the following challenge to anybody in the world. Nobody's ever answered this. Name a country in the world faced with comparable threats that has ever had a better human rights record than Israel. You can't do it.
Let's just pursue that one more point. In this global terror war in which Israel is clearly a part, and your support of Israel, what do you make of the whole NSA controversy? Now, is the NSA a violation of individual rights and freedoms, or is it a necessary national security tool?
It's both. And in my book, I have a chapter on how hard it is to balance national security, freedom of speech, freedom of privacy. There are no simple-minded answers to this question. We need to know that a lot of what we talk about today as classified shouldn't be classified. We have too many secrets. On the other hand, young people today don't seem to care about privacy. Everything's on Facebook. And privacy is defined constitutionally as reasonable expectation of privacy, and I think the next generation won't expect as much privacy, and that's going to be a tragedy.
Would you stay with the NSA?
I would stay with the NSA, definitely. I would tweak it and make sure that there is a real court, not the kind of fake court we have now, where both sides can present issues, where you have lawyers presenting the other side.
So, I read someplace that your most famous football halfback defender is going to get out of jail, okay? And he's going to start up a television talk show of some kind or another. Talk to me about your most famous football defender.
Well, first of all, you don't have to like your clients. You don't have to approve of anything that they do. When I won the Klaus von Bülow case, I said, Klaus, get out of the country, get your face out of America. Nobody wants to see you. I said the same thing to O.J. Simpson. He didn't listen, got in trouble in Florida, got in trouble in Nevada. I'm not responsible for how he lives the rest of his life. I'll tell you a funny story, though, that's in my book. Bibi Netanyahu, when he first got elected prime minister, called me into his private office and said, I have something I have to ask you. I was in Israel. He said, did O.J. do it? I said, does Israel have nuclear weapons? He said, I can't tell you that. I said, aha.
Did O.J. do it? All right, we got to get out of here. Many thanks, Professor Alan Dershowitz.